Hey there, have you ever wanted opposing force and Black Mesa graphics? Well, this mod isn't that, but it gets pretty close. Black Mesa Military is a mod that released in 2019 and has you step into the shoes of an HECU soldier. It manages to capture otherwise untold aspects of the story of Black Mesa, including a few amazing surprises, and actually does a good job of having you be a bad guy. So let's get into properly summarizing, analyzing and reviewing it. Before we do that, consider subscribing. Thank you. The intro of this mod may have you wrongfully believe that it's opposing force, since you start out in one of the Ospreys on its way to Black Mesa. We learn here that we're playing as Stephen Mills, and we get to listen to some excellently voice-acted chatter going on.
So, anyone know what's going on? They didn't debrief us properly before the mission. Alright, listen up people. We don't have much time, as we will be landing at the Black Mesa research facility very soon.
Realistically enough, we even have a fellow soldier being hesitant about the command of killing the personnel.
We have also been ordered to eliminate the surviving staff to silence the operation. You're kidding, right? Killing bugs, sure, but civvies? You go on ahead. My conscience will be clear.
For one nice technical detail about the scene, it's not actually the plane that's moving here, but the entire skybox outside. It also reuses the same skybox from Black Mesa in the cliff level, though they have moved some buildings around, so it's not actually meant to be the same spot. Would have been cool though. But yeah, that's just some of the trickery that goes into source modding. This time we don't crash and instead rappel out of the aircraft as intended. The first 5 minutes of this mod are spent getting to the area of access and spending time with your fellow soldiers, which leads to some great interactions.
I don't know the codes. Well, I'll show you the damn code.
The only person that's really worth keeping in mind here is Mike, our commander, though there is more named characters, including someone named Hank.
Well, I don't know, man. You've been seeming sus lately.
The level design is high quality enough to be taken right out of an official Black Mesa level. We also get to see some of the very dark doings of the HECU right in front of us. We get commands to go to the lower levels of the facility, seemingly as one of the first soldiers to do it, which must be insanely scary for the HECU. Imagine being sent into the lower levels of the facility that's out of power, knowing there are alien life forms down there, straight up exploring hell. We get a cool night vision function and seem to be wearing an advanced PCV vest, since it actually speaks to us and is able to charge using HEV stations and batteries.
Power 30%.
On our way to enable power, we get our first custom weapon, the pipe. It's this mod's version of the crowbar, and while it is simply a reskin, I always prefer that over a regular crowbar. It's a way to make the mod stand out among others, even if only slightly. There's also new sounds for most weapons, which we'll get to once we have a few more. If you're planning on playing this mod, make sure to listen to every word your fellow soldiers tell you. I was streaming this mod and so I often missed what they were saying. Where can we go through? I didn't listen to them. Which was often crucial commands as to what you're supposed to do, which will otherwise leave you confused if you miss them. I played this mod on normal, the easiest difficulty for Black Mesa, and I found it to be rather challenging still. There isn't a lot of loot to come by, and even within the first hour I found myself stuck at low HP levels right before a fight multiple times. In general though, these segments are super fun. I had to keep reminding myself to not shoot the HECU soldiers on sight, which was perhaps the biggest challenge, but was well worth it because I really enjoyed the character interactions. It reminded me a lot of Underhill, another source mod. Just a few bodies exploring otherwise unimaginable horrors with death all around you. How bad must Black Mesa smell actually? For one of the coolest moments of this mod that leads up to more cool moments is when we arrive in this familiar hallway. You probably remember this area from the regular Half-Life 1 campaign. Heading the same route as we know Gordon Freeman did, we actually get to see him escaping to the Blast Pit chapter. I love mods doing things like this, just adding more perspectives and headcanon to the adventures of Gordon Freeman. I love the HLCU. Fun fact, you are able to shoot and kill Gordon here, which will reload the data save due to a temporal paradox. From this point forward we get the new task to hunt down the Freeman, just like it happened in the regular Half-Life. This is also where we get the Deagle, which simply seems to be a reskin of the revolver. Still neat though. As we infiltrate a new sector of Black Mesa, it is to note that most enemies got a buff, more specifically the health of regular guards. They pack a serious punch now and got straight up aimbot aim. I guess this mod needed something to make the combat more challenging in the first half. Seems like Barney is planning on joining the American police force with how he shoots on sight. I think this mod did that opposing force failed to do is properly teach the player that they're feared, that they are the villain. While you were working alongside scientists in opposing force, here they're actually afraid for their life. Like they would come to learn through word of mouth spreading along the facility. Sure, not everyone heard it most likely. I'm not insinuating opposing force doesn't make sense. Please don't come after me, opposing force truthers, okay? But it is nice to see it be the other way around here. Obviously I would never kill a scientist, directly. It turns night outside and we get to witness Gordon Freeman again, though this time in a different manner, which is that we get to see him launch the rocket from a different angle, giving us a good idea of what point in time we are right now. And as if that wasn't cool enough already, Remember this section from the original campaign where your tram malfunctions and drives into the water? In this mod, we're one of the HECU that witnessed Gordon drive through the wall. Once we follow Freeman down there, he's already long gone. He must have just speedrun his way out of there. We are about to lose all our weapons here, so let me showcase their new sounds. And just to note, I think each and every single one of them is a huge improvement from the original Black Mesa gun sounds. Here's the pistol. The SMG. The shotgun. And here's a deagle and crowbar just to show you everything. In general, I just love how much of a punch they pack. I always thought the original Black Mesa weapon sounded too hollow. I'm not sure if it's maybe more realistic that way, but I prefer this over realism any day if that's the case. We get ambushed and knocked out by Vortigons not long after this. We get rescued by fellow HECU, to which we again get ambushed, this time by alien grunts, where we then again get saved by HECU. Silly ass scene. What we awake to afterwards is a bunch of dead HECU soldiers and no weapons, essentially resetting us, which I don't have any strong opinions on. I think they handled it fine. There's a small blue shift reference here as well, which is fun, including a full remake of this yard area, which is just super sick. The environments in general are really well made. The inside structures, the collapsed buildings, and the outside areas. There are some minor mistakes here and there, but if we ignore that, since you probably won't find anything if you don't actively go looking for it, the level design is really solid. We now come to what is without a doubt the highlight of this mod, the Stayer Scout. This sniper is the most satisfying weapon I've ever had the pleasure of using in a game. No dumbass inaccuracy, no overly long reloads between shots, no annoying bullet fall off, just high damage and a banging sound. It's so perfect. I could play the entire campaign of Black Mesa with just this weapon and would not be mad. It's worth it to play this mod for this weapon alone. We meet most of our squad again. Mike is missing though. These environments may seem familiar. One might say some questionable ethics are at hand here. I heavily recommend taking all of the squad with you because there's a huge boss battle ahead and never mind. The reason they all die is most likely another temporal paradox or something, because as it turns out, the huge boss battle ahead is Gordon Freeman himself in the lobby of Black Mesa. And he's chopped as shit. As expected, he's hard as hell to fight, and once you do enough damage, he still manages to murk you. It is revealed however that we don't actually die. We see Gordon leave with a fellow scientist just like we know to happen in the original campaign. This time we're blacked out for too long though, and have no chance of following him if we tried. We instead take an alternate route that will take us on the rest of this mod's adventures. This is still just such a fun thing though. Next time you play through Black Mesa or Half-Life 1, you can now imagine that one of the soldiers you kill here is actually Stephen Mills, and that he actually gets up afterwards. Somehow. As I mentioned a few times by now, this mod has quite a few glitches. Mostly small errors in the map, AI glitching or sometimes level loading errors. You are unlikely to play the entire mod without coming across at least a few of these bugs. Thankfully, however, there is actually a definitive edition of this mod in the works. This will not only fix more bugs but also remaster certain levels completely. Here's just two of the comparison pictures they posted thus far. There's no release date yet, and honestly, this mod is still worth it to play now. But perhaps keep an eye out for that in the future. And in case you really hate bugs and glitches, you can wait for this to release instead. I expect it to take at least another year though. There's more fun interactions like fighting a Gargantua using manually reloaded rocket turrets, taking out a Gargantua using mortars very similar to the original campaign, which also features the same crash by the way if you spam rockets. At this point we also received the order to pull out of Black Mesa. The objective now is reaching an escape vehicle. Black Ops soldiers have since arrived too, including assassins and custom regular Black Ops soldiers. These models look pretty cool. It is now that it becomes most evident that there's no hope for Black Mesa. One thing this mod manages to do really well is show the collapse of the facility. When we first arrived, it was mostly still neat and tidy aside from the occasional zombie corpse.
You think it's dead? Whatever it is, I want to believe that it is. He's alive! Oh, fuck!
But by the end, we are practically crawling through debris as the bombing campaigns of the facility increase, which is also used to clearly signal the Xenians winning, both through aesthetics and gameplay. We find spreading Xen fauna and see more creatures as the campaign plays out, including creatures only seen in Black Mesa's Xen chapters and the unused big grunt enemy. The depiction of the fall of Black Mesa peaks at this huge open battlefield where we come head to head fighting against all kinds of Xenian creatures while the sky is lit up by explosions and smoke. And while this amazing fight plays out in the background footage, I wanna speak on the incredible soundtrack of this mod. You've been hearing it for most of this video as well. It perfectly captures what made the original Black Mesa soundtracks unique and then uses that to do its own spin on it. It is amongst the best soundtracks I've ever heard in Half-Life modding. Here's a few snippets of music to listen to while watching me 360 no-scope some Xenian scrubs. Shout out JD Creative for making these songs. We finally reached the extraction Osprey and yeah, who would have thought? Just as we know it to be the case from opposing force, the Black Ops are the last ones to roam Black Mesa before it gets nuked, which is what we witness here. The final time we get some good use out of the epic sniper, making for a great final boss fight. I'm gonna spoil the ending of this mod now, so if you don't wanna see that, skip to this timestamp for my review. Here we go. We find a few HECU soldiers killed by Black Ops, including our now critically injured Commander Mike. He inspires us to keep on moving forward before succumbing to his injuries. And as it turns out, we do make it to the extraction. The outro features no music, no nuke going off as you might expect it to, no sounds at all, just a few traumatized soldiers. Black Mesa military is very buggy, but I actually think the lack of sounds is intentional, and if it isn't, it should be. I saw it as a representation of basically going deaf from all the bombing, that we are now empty, and that whatever life we may lead now will be riddled with PTSD. Same for everyone else on board. Be that because of the bombings or because you went in there to murder innocent scientists. What may seem like a happy ending is really only bittersweet, leaving you to wonder if you and the world would be better off if your life just ended in battle after all the atrocities you committed and experienced. This ending also helps paint G-Man as a bigger villain than previously thought, since it was him that caused the resonance cascade and hired the HECU to go here, being perfectly fine with so many humans losing their life. For what? G-Man truly takes on the role of a government man here, sending people to die or have their entire life ruined by guilt in needless wars caused by his doings in the first place, as goes for every real-life war. For my review of this mod, it has level design that is mostly on par with regular Black Mesa. There are some few bugs going on or areas that allow you to view places not meant to be seen, but on a regular playthrough you should be fine. The sound design is incredible, be that the weapon sounds, the voice acting, the ambient sounds of bombing, or the incredible soundtrack. The gameplay is mostly fun as well. Sometimes there were certain bugs in AI that hindered me from progressing or made fights easier than intended, including most Gargantua battles and the Freeman fight on my initial playthrough. And as mentioned earlier, make sure you listen to the commands of the HECU, be that through speaking to them directly or listening to radios, as otherwise you're basically just running around aimlessly. This is made harder by there currently being a lot of missing subtitle files, meaning that half the custom voice lines aren't captioned. My suggestion to the developers would be to include some kind of radio or walkie-talkie for the player through which you receive commands, and have that be subtitled. Or include a mission briefing similar to Field Intensity. This way even the run and gunners won't miss anything. The mod also does a great job of actually having you be a bad guy. Every scientist is afraid for their life when they see you, and guards start shooting you immediately, which I'd say makes this mod even better than opposing force in that aspect at least. The overall depiction of Black Mesa's fall is incredible, and even though there are some rough edges, I can really only recommend playing Black Mesa Military even in its current state. I think a chatter in my livestream put it best, which is that this mod is a rough-edged gem. If you'd rather wait for a more polished experience though, feel free to wait for the definitive edition. Just know that you may be waiting a while. If you enjoyed this video and really wanna do me a favor, consider liking and commenting, helps me in the algorithm and stuff. Perhaps let me know what your favorite aspect of this mod was, and otherwise, thank you for watching.